This is listener request month, but we have a small request for you, and that is if you are an Android user, you should check out the Podcast Republic app. It's free, it has thousands of great reviews, and all you have to do is download it to see for yourself. So check it out. It's available on the Google Play Store, the Podcast Republic app. You favorite your favorite podcasts, they download right to your device, and you're listening in seconds. The Podcast Republic app on the Google Play Store. On Saturday, July 20th, we are returning to Tattooed Mom as part of the Philly Podcast Festival. It's our fourth year, I believe, at that particular podcast festival. We're very excited to be asked to be back and excited to return to Tattooed Mom, which is always a really good time. We are going to be discussing the fabulous film Flashdance. Regular listeners of this show might remember that, hey, didn't you guys do a live episode about the movie Flashdance last year at the Baltimore Podcast Festival? And you would be correct. We did. Here's the thing. The only people who heard that episode were the ones in the room. So we liked it and wanted to talk about it and see if we could get that conversation recorded, and figured a year later would probably mean we wouldn't repeat too many of our own jokes, although, frankly, I doubt that I remember them at this point.
I don't even remember where my notes are. Oh, wait, they might be in this notebook. 2 seconds.
We will be at Tattooed Mom at 3:30 p.m. on July 20th, part of a packed day of shows that starts at 12:30 p.m. there. It goes till 7:30 p.m.
My notes are still in here. The same notebook.
Oh, good. Good. So we will be doing Flashdance. If you were at the Baltimore show, this one will probably be different. If you weren't at the Baltimore show, which is almost everyone listening to this, assuredly, we will be doing Flashdance. So come hear us talk about one of the crazy dance movies of our favorite decade, of course, the 1980s. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Trip Lano, one half of the Mega Podcasting Powers. And with me, as always, is a man who I think is pretty smart, but probably not invent a laser when you're age 15 smart. The Macho Man Drew.
Drew Lano. And that's correct. See, I thought you were going to go with the man who also suffers from late 20s feelings of uselessness because they were told they were gifted as a middle school student.
Yeah, maybe.
And like feeling like,
maybe.
I peaked in middle school.
I'm not sure I feel like I
Not peaked, but like you get that feel like I feel like I did so much as like a child with you know my brain, and now I'm like I do this.
I don't know, the more I think about stuff, like think about that era, it's like mostly they were just like giving us an outlet for creativity that didn't really exist anywhere else. Cause like I was bad at art, so that didn't work for me. Like you did that. Like, when you were younger, like drawing, painting, and all that stuff. I don't have that talent, didn't have the desire to nurture that talent. Certainly, if there ever was any. So I feel like it was just an excuse to be creative and think about stuff in a weird way, which I feel like helps me now. And I'm always coming up with weird ideas for projects.
Although I programmed a robot arm in 4th grade and made stained glass.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway. We're talking about the 1985, I believe, Val Kilmer comedy, Real Genius. This is the pick of Tom as part of our Patreon supporter portion of the Listener Request Month. We are really super grateful to both Tom and Michelle for supporting us on Patreon. Let's hear what Tom had to say.
Hey, Trip and Andrew. This is Tom from Patreon, and I'm calling to let you know why I selected Real Genius. First, let me say I'm thrilled that neither of you guys have seen this movie. I'm excited that you're going into it with no preconceptions, and also I'm jealous. I really wish that I could watch this again for the first time. Simply, it's my favorite movie about college. It ignored most tropes of smart kids in college life. It shows smart people being creative and not just antisocial. It really paints the characters well. I think it shows each character having their own personality that really just isn't stereotypical. And I think a great message of the movie, I think, is it emphasizes the need to have balance in your life and not just be a workaholic or a single tract. The movie itself, I think, aside from a couple of small subplots, which I'm sure you'll notice, there really isn't any narrative waste to the film. I think it's like low key. It's one of the most quotable films of the 80s. I hope you guys agree with me. But I think, There's a whole bunch of really well-written dialogue and a whole bunch of throwaway lines that are just hilarious. It's very high quality. I think it's not exploitive. I think, a lot of times in 80s films, I think when you look at them through a modern lens, like the social shift between then and now is really overwhelming and a lot of times troubling. I think this film treats female characters really decently. It doesn't show like out of whack power dynamics, like say a movie like Revenge of the Nerds, for example, but mostly, it's a good time. I think, like the pranks and the retaliations that they do in this film that drive a lot of the plot along. They're fun, they're not mean spirited, and the performances are just amazing. I mean, Kilmer just freaking owns this film. And it really makes me sad that he didn't do more comedy over his career. I mean, he's incredibly good at this. But also, William Atherton has to be in the conversation for the greatest 80s villain actor. I mean, Die Hard, Ghostbusters, this film in particular, I mean, he doesn't disappoint. Thank you guys for this show. I appreciate the opportunity to give you guys some support. And I think you guys are both hilarious. And being a Gen X guy, I think it's fascinating for me to get a breakdown of the films that I love, growing up through the eyes of the next generation. To see, what your perspective brings to this. It's been a lot of fun, and please keep it up, and I'm happy to keep supporting you. So, thank you. Hopefully I'll talk to you again. Bye.
So, you know what we watched? It's Real Genius, and you know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your laser. Something's got out about your laser.
So I didn't even watch a trailer for this. I figured I was going to go in just like stone cold. And the whole time, based on the poster, which this movie is streaming for free on Crackle, if you would like to watch it. His hair's all zapped out and his eyes look kind of weird to me. So I thought this was going to be like a science magic movie the whole time, and I kept waiting for there to be like science magic, oh god, what's the one? Weird Science. Yes. I was waiting for like someone to get magic powers or something like that.
See, I also thought Real Genius was the name of like 2 weeks in a row, a Disney Channel movie about like.
Okay.
I feel like you watched it. Like it was around the time when you were watching them. It was about a kid who like they put like something on like hockey players' skates so that they were all flying.
Wasn't that Flubber?
No, it was not Flubber. I think it starred. I think the love interest was the love interest from the 13th year / also BioShock Infinite.
You got nothing? Don't know what you're. No, sorry. I was like, BioShock Infinite is a computer game, isn't it?
A video game. But the actress who plays the female protagonist in BioShock Infinite also played the love interest in the 13th year.
But is that one of those like Last of Us deals where they just basically made Ellen Page? Like, is that what the actress looks like?
No, it's not. It's just her voice. They use her facial stuff for like acting reference, but it doesn't look like her.
I see. No, I'm not familiar with what you're talking about, although I'm sure somebody listening is like screaming at the phone like, you idiots. Yeah.
So we get an opening credits montage of weapons patents set to a song called You Took Advantage of Me, which just makes me feel weird.
Yeah, I didn't care for that tune. The tunes in this movie are generally pretty good. I did not care for that one, though. Then we go to space. Pretty cool shot of a spaceship. Very 80s style effects with like sort of a floating toy on a string sort of deal, but I find that very charming, as you're all aware. And he blasts this chair from space with this laser technology.
And this dude just explodes.
Yeah, just basically like the Unsolved Mysteries episode about spontaneous human combustion.
So it's framed as though it's a like beer commercial or video game commercial. It's like,
yep.
When life gets you down, you just crank up your laser beam. Laser beams, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It is pretty much exactly that.
But it's a commercial to pitch to the government to like, let's use this laser to kill dictators. So I don't know who created this commercial. What do they think the target demo was?
I think it was exactly what you said, like trying to pitch the government on how to kill foreign dictators.
But why would you use that format? Like, that's not...
I think because it looks cool as hell.
I don't mean to be that work asshole, but, like, this could have been an email.
Okay, well, it's 1985. I don't think it could have been an email. It could have been a memo. I think it would have had to... Okay, but, like, let me ask you a question. I got 2 ways to sell you my super mega death laser. 1, a memo. 2, this awesome ad where we blast a dude into smithereens from space. Which one's more likely to sell you a laser?
Is that the laser is supposed to be a secret, but when you make a commercial, there is the guy piloting the ship in the commercial, the guy who gets blown up, the guy next to the guy who gets blown up, the guy who films all the segments, the guy who edits the segments, the guy who directed the thing. Like, you have at least 10 people who now know about your secret
Yes, but none of those people know it's real.
I guess.
You just tell them you're filming a sizzle reel for a movie that you're trying to get funding for, and you got to show it to the investors in whatever, Europe, France, I don't know, somewhere. You're like, oh, they can't read the script and get it. We got to show them something. We got to give them some heat. We got to show them something from the picture.
Yeah.
I mean, Argo is a real story, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I'm saying, like, this seems, people get stars in their eyes really easily on topics like this. I feel like this is a
What do you mean?
very obvious way to, like, oh, it's going to be for a movie. And people are like, really? How can I help? What can I do?
Oh, okay.
Like, I when I lived in Frederick, they were filming a movie in town that starred Wee Man from Jackass.
I'm aware that exists.
The little person on the show. I think his first name's actually Jason. But anyway, they filmed this like Christmas, like family comedy Christmas. It was right before, honestly, it was like right before the Christmas movie Hallmark explosion, which probably would have helped them. Although this one's a little like more wacky kids movie than those tend to be. But it's essentially just like this terrible Christmas movie. And he's like, I think an elf. I don't know. I don't remember the details. But they were filming this in Frederick and everybody was losing their mind of like, oh my God, they're making a movie here. And I was like, guys, it's Wee Man. Like, it's not
Scorsese.
It's like, right. Like, I loved Jackass. I watched a lot of it. I still use that as the way to explain where I'm from to people because most of those guys are from Westchester.
I knew Johnny Knoxville was. No, not him.
No, he was not.
Bam Margera. I knew Bam Margera was, but I didn't know that a lot of them were.
Yeah, Bam Margera's crew was like largely the people on the show. So I've many times been like, did you ever see Jackass? And people were like, yeah. And then I'm like, well, I lived where where Bam and those guys filmed all those stunts. Remember the time they broke the glass at the hockey rink? That's where I learned to ice skate. That's sort of
that was
my...
Iceline?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Anyway, why am I talking about that?
Oh, because people get stars in their eyes about movies.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. So that's how they would have. God, thank you. That's what would have been important. There is like you just tell people, oh, we're like making this little sizzle reel. It's a movie where we're capitalizing on that Star Wars heat. This is in the space lasers or whatever.
Oh, speaking of Star Wars, last week we talked about the Starfight video game. It's a real video game. That's what it was called.
Yeah, I looked it up too, and the font is even more Star Wars ripoffy in the real one.
So they do their beer commercial for the laser, and they're like, so it's almost Heathersy, and it's like the way these men are joking about like, well, we could definitely kill like I don't know, today, like I'll use today, like we could kill Putin from the toilet. Like it's weird flippancy.
Yeah. It is. It actually really strongly reminds me of Doctor Strangelove, which is a movie I really, really love. Even the lighting, they have these guys lit like perfect villain lighting.
Never mind. I was going to have a different reference point, so no.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say this looks like the fucking Act 2 opener of Rent, Seasons of Love.
Oh, whatever. He's got the candle lights.
Everyone's got the single spotlight over their head, so it's just all shadow.
Oh, yes. Yeah, honestly, it's almost the effect of like if each of these guys was holding a flashlight
under their
like
chin.
at an arm's length away. Yeah, but like not right under the chin, like arm's length, but the same angle. But it's great. Like it really is excellent. And very reminiscent of the big war room scenes from Doctor Strangelove.
One guy is like, I don't want to be involved in this, and they definitely kill him.
Oh, I'm certain that dude gets exit. I was honestly surprised that like they didn't shut the door. He didn't like exit the room. Then you hear a gunshot noise.
So he defects and he stands up and he goes to the door and he opens it and you see, because it's a pitch black room, and he opens and you see the rectangle of light of the outside and he's sort of in silhouette in there. And I the someone's gonna pull him, like.
Oh, that would have been like Freddy Krueger,
like hand on the shoulder, pulled out of frame. That's the end of that.
That would have been very cool. That's not what happens, but that would have been cool. So we get cut to William Atherton, the infamous jerk reporter from Die Hard and Die Hard 2, who is a great bad guy.
I didn't know I knew him from stuff.
Yeah, he's the one who gets punched out by Holly Gennaro McLean at the end of the first one, and then is inexplicably on the plane with her in the sequel.
Well, it's like a prequel movie. You meet everyone important in your life in high school.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Also, we will never be able to do it on the show because I think pretty sure it's in 1990, but it is so silly when you live in the Maryland, D.C., Virginia area. The plot of Die Hard 2 is how they can't like land the plane. There are 3 airports within like 55 air miles of each other in this area.
Really?
There's 2 in D.C. and 1 in Baltimore. Yes. They're like, we can't land the plane. I'm like, there is another airport 4 miles west. Just go west.
Just like the Village people said.
Yeah.
This like celebrity scientist, Dr. Hathaway, who apparently was in the villain room. I didn't realize
he was like in the
halfway through the stupid movie. He's sort of like if the Mythbusters guys had the like name recognition of Bill Nye.
Sure, a Neil deGrasse Tyson before we all found out he was a bad person.
Yes, exactly. He's at this like high school science fair. It's high school, right?
Yeah, kid's 15.
And he's like, well, I wanted to come in person and tell you you got the genius grant or whatever. Come to my school because you're smart. Like, whatever. We need to move the plot along. Come to my school.
Yeah, and I honestly think there's some really kind of clever stuff they do here. They establish the kind of bad relationship the kid has with his parents, which makes him like longing to fit, and the fact that he doesn't really have friends, he's longing to fit in. And then we get a casual mention of Val Kilmer's character's name, and now he was like the youngest, smartest person ever. So that like when we cut from this scene ending of like, you've got the scholarship, you're coming to school, yay, cut, Val Kilmer's there. We learn his name. It's like, oh, this is that super genius guy. It's just like really good writing, like just very deftly connected scenes. Tells you a lot with minimal dialogue.
And the movie's very well performed. I will say that. Other than a few instances, I really like Val Kilmer's character because I think he's charming enough to pull a lot of it off. Obviously, it's got that like 80s obligatory kind of sexual predatoriness peppered throughout. And like you forget about it, and then it happens, and you're like, ew, and then it goes away, and then comes back.
It's extremely Ferris Bueller energy.
But I feel like Ferris Bueller wasn't like as grossly overtly sexual to people who didn't necessarily say they wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. I don't think I would want a real life person to say to somebody, "Oh, it's all brain. I'm not all brains and no penis."
That quote is hilarious.
But that is also like a very funny line. Like, I agree that's not an appropriate thing to say to somebody.
All brains, no penis wasn't even what I was referring to. There was something later where he was like talking about someone's boobs, a girl's boobs growing. I was like, dude, this isn't Project X. Which like is a line I would expect from Project X, which I haven't seen because we talked about this before. It gives me anxiety to think about.
Yeah, I think it's the same problem that I ran into with Overboard in that like I just like it. Like I like him,
That's
and
why
it doesn't because I like
think
him.
Val Kilmer's super talented and charming, and I think his characterization is spot on for this like roguish. He's like the Han Solo of academia.
Yeah, that's a very good line. That should be on the box.
Yeah.
That's very good.
And like I really enjoy that because he's clearly the most brilliant person in the room, but also like clearly doesn't give a shit about anything.
No, he does not care at all.
So I was like, I like him a lot, but there's definitely elements where I was like, we could have edited. If you edited like 15 minutes out of this movie, A, it's shorter, which makes me happier, and B, I think a lot of character stuff is more tight.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything we watch on the show, you could take 10 minutes out of. I feel that way about almost every movie I watch, period. But yeah, I'm with you. And I keep thinking, like, I guess the way you would do the line about, because the specific thing you're referring to is like they have a pool party and there's a woman in a bikini and he's like, oh, don't eat that, it'll make your breasts huge. And he looks down and he goes like, oh my God, I'm too late. And it's like, the intent is just to be a cheesy pickup line. So I think you could like have that line without the, if you said it wasn't, didn't say it about breasts, but instead of like, oh, you know, if you eat that, you'll knock out gorgeous or something like that. Like it's supposed to be cheesy and stupid. It's just also sexual. I think is where your issue is.
I don't mind a stupid pickup line that doesn't that isn't like gross towards the person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like the character that receives this compliment isn't bothered by it, but also it's a movie and it was written that way. Yeah. So I get what you're saying.
And it was the 80s. No one was thinking like that.
No. I was just like, oh, that's what men sound like.
Gross. Val Kilmer's also real sexy in this movie.
Yeah, no, he's got a real good energy to him. The hair is great. Honestly, he's so good in this movie. It's baffling to me that they cast him as Iceman in Top Gun just like, what, 2 years later, 3 years later? Right. It's crazy town that he would have been like the ideal person to play Maverick.
Yeah, but
with this persona.
Tom Cruise was in the beginning of his like network branch out of like, let me be the only person who can run on film.
Yeah, I just like, in hindsight being 2020 and all, Val Kilmer is the way cooler dude of those two.
He went on to play Batman, although not in a good one.
Not a very good one.
But that wasn't his fault. That's 100% Joel Schumacher's fault.
Right. Also, you know, there's only like 2 good Batman movies, so.
Which 2 do you think? Hot take?
I think 89 is good.
The original?
Yeah. It's like, it gets extra credit because it's the first one to be like serious and not Superman.
I would pick Batman Returns of the original 4.
Oh, maybe. I haven't seen it in a long time, so maybe that one's better. But yeah, my gut instinct is Batman 89 and Dark Knight.
So the 2 Jokers.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I would say Dark Knight Dark Knight and Batman Returns would be my 2 favorites, because if you look too closely at Dark Knight Rises, nothing makes sense in that movie.
Yeah, I think that movie secretly stinks.
That movie is secretly terrible if you look too closely at it.
I don't think you even need to look too closely. I just think it's not very good. It's like kind of confusing and drawn out, and like there's like 5 cool scenes in it, and that's all you remember, so people remember it fondly. But I think that movie is like,
and I enjoy Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. Anyways, not important. Val Kilmer's sexy.
Real quick here, we go to this party where the kid is being introduced to like the campus people.
A real unnecessary party. This is what I mean by like, yes. I was like, this scene served no purpose.
However, did you recognize the woman who greets him? It's Mac's mom from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh my God. Wow.
The chain smoker with the real short haircut. Yeah. So he's on campus, and it's like this welcome to campus shindig, and then he sneaks out of there very quickly because he's a smart kid, both in terms of textbooks and street smarts, because he knows how to bail on a party.
He just was like trying to find somewhere and like having a party and like was like, I need the dean's tea or whatever, and then he had to get to his dorm, and I was like, but why did we need this tea scene? Nothing was established.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. We should just skip to the dorm, but I read it as he was like, well, this sucks. I'm getting out of here.
That's fair. Gotta take some of that free cheese, though. Free cheese plates.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you stuff your pockets full of Colby Jack, and then you get the heck out of there. Mm-hmm. It's a Colby and Golby, maybe? Colby and Goby? I don't know.
Goby?
I don't know. I was trying something. I don't, like, go?
Oh, okay.
You know, the kind of joke that you have to explain is always my favorite.
Anywhere else.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Anyway, he meets Val Kilmer, who is in the room and has announced that he is now sharing this room with this kid because he likes his energy and he wants to be there. And he starts just like assembling this gadget made out of loose parts. It's a real Ghostbusters technology situation.
Yeah. He also like put away the kid's clothes for him.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird energy too. But there's a real homemade tech vibe in a lot of this movie, which I really enjoy. Very Ghostbusters, Back to the Future.
Hang on, what did I write a reference to? It's very Ghostbusters. It's very Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's very Gremlins. Later, there's a full-on shot that I'm pretty sure Casper stole from, where he's...
Oh, yes, for sure.
Like, this is just that scene from Casper. Casper just stole this from this movie.
Absolutely. And I meant to mention it in our last episode because Michael J. Fox was in that movie, but talking about the homemade technology, I just watched on Netflix See You Yesterday, which is a really interesting time travel movie. It's very much a movie about our current police climate and race relations between black folks and the police. And it's like a very interesting story told in that lens with time travel. But Michael J. Fox, like the kid invents time travel and then is trying to use it to go back in time and fix something awful that happens, which isn't really a spoiler. It's in the trailer. But the teacher in the movie of the two kids, the science teacher, is Michael J. Fox. And it's definitely like he was there for like one day, but it's like just so good to see him on screen.
Doc Brown?
No, he's like a high school teacher who's over it. It's very good. It's like a very solid performance. And he's definitely was not there for very long. It's just like, 2 scenes, but it's his part of the movie is really, really fun. The rest of the movie is not like a fun. It's a good movie, but it's not a fun movie given the thing. But I didn't know he was in it, and so I was watching it and was like, oh my God, that's so nice. It's so good to see him. Yeah, but it's just like so good to see you, old friend. That's the exact reaction I had of like, I know you're not like, I know you're not well, and I know this is tough for you and everything, but like, man, it's good to see you.
Didn't he get out of a DeLorean like a few Oscars ago?
Yes. It wasn't the Oscars. It was actually Jimmy Kimmel. No, it was on Jimmy Kimmel.
No, it definitely was the Oscars too. Because they did a thing where like it was like actors with the actors who inspired them to become actors.
Oh, I don't have any memory of that.
Yeah.
But I also haven't watched the Oscars in like a decade.
I know. I didn't watch this year. But a few years ago it was like younger actors, like actors younger than 30, paired with the actors who inspired them to become actors. So I think it was like Seth Rogen and Michael J. Fox. And Seth Rogen, there's like a 20-second segment of Seth Rogen just fangirling over Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future.
I thought you were talking about the time that he and Christopher Lloyd drove a DeLorean on stage of Kimmel.
No, I didn't know that happened.
It was pretty cool. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So Kilmer's flying this gadget all around the room. It's clearly like a just drone.
On a string.
Yes, it's even on a string to the point of like it has a literal circular path that they swing it around the room 2 times. But it's fun, and it gives you a good sense of kind of Kilmer's energy and this kid's energy and how they're going to pair off each other, which I dig.
I realized Val Kilmer never like wakes up in bed with a woman, which is kind of shocking.
In this movie, you mean, or in life? Okay.
Val Kilmer's never. I was
like, I don't know how you know. I was like, I don't know how you know this piece of information about Val Kilmer, but I see just like a slip out in the middle of the night guy. Even at this age, it seems like a lot more trouble than it's worth.
No, but like this character feels like at one point he should have like the kid should have woken up to like Val Kilmer and like some chick sleeping in bed or like some like, with all the game they seem to give him. He never scores.
That we see.
That's what I mean. Like it's weird that the movie didn't feel the need to show that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it's like he's like cool older brother, and that's too close to Lecherous Town.
Maybe that's fair.
So this mysterious government guy is really pushing William Atherton to get this thing done. He moves up the deadline on him, and Atherton is like, "No one could do that."
So I'm building a house already with the money you gave me for some reason.
Yes, in the middle of nowhere, it seems. It's very much like the construction in Poltergeist, where it's just like a single house in the middle of nothing, and they're like, eventually this will be a neighborhood.
I was going to say the terrible Scream 3, where Sidney Prescott just lives on a mountain by herself.
Yes. The difference here, though, is like it's almost like Centralia, but there's like one house left. Because there's like roadways and such, and it's like an open plan for a neighborhood, but it's the only house in it.
He's the starter model.
The model home, as it were.
Obviously, all the college kids hate that a 15-year-old is coming in. Because
I actually don't think it's everybody. It's just really this one dude, Nate.
Kent.
They didn't
give the other 2 people any personality, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, they're really only this one scene, but those dudes seem to rag on Kent quite a bit. So I got the impression that Kent, like, nobody likes Kent, and so Kent has to find another person to punch down to.
A little bit. But, like, the kid is 100% me the first day of a job, where I'm like, I'm uncomfortable, I don't know what to ask for, but I have to be here right now. Because he walks in the room, and he's like, so, he said I should look at your, copies of your data so I can check it. And they're like, check it for what? And he's like, oh, mistakes? Like, clearly uncomfortable saying it.
Yeah.
And they're instantly...
Also, Kent...
Instantly, they hate him.
Also, Kent has some real Ed Begley Jr. energy.
I was also going to say Ed from Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Kilmer ices down this hallway with like magical ice.
These shenanigans in the dorm room.
Yes, it's so fun.
It feels sort of like what I would love out of an X-Men movie. Like
Iceman it does it, and then hey, Cyclops melts it back.
Hey guys, we're gonna have a ski party, and then whoosh, and then Storm is like making it rain or whatever. I want like fun. Show me. The first thing you're gonna do when you realize you have powers is have fun with them. So show me fun.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Make superhero movies fun again. Please.
No, they have to be dark and serious for adult men. They're also like talking about this ice, and the one guy takes credit for inventing it, and he's like, Kent is like, how are you going to clean this up? It's going to be a mess. And he's like, actually, as soon as it's done, it's just going to turn straight to gas. It doesn't become liquid first. And he's like, what? That can't be true. And then later it starts doing it, and they are like, it might blow up. So, and Kent goes like scrambling down the hallway. I used to know the word
for that. When things went directly from solid to gas and didn't go through the liquid stage, it was like super something.
I don't know the answer.
I don't know a lot about science. I know a handful of science words. And that was always one that stuck out. And now that I'm on the spot, I cannot remember.
Kilmer, this scene is like really a big piece for Val Kilmer. Like, you can tell how much fun he's having, and it makes the movie that much better. Like, it's so infectious. Yeah, it's so infectious how much he's enjoying playing this character and being this zany guy.
It's very much the same effect that when you feel how much Michael Keaton enjoyed being Beetlejuice, and so it just like makes you enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it's just like you feed off their energy, and it gives you, like, as an audience member, the energy of the movie is that much better.
There's also a weird dude living in their closet.
It is the Wolfman from Monster Squad, and also Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
They're the same person?
Yes.
I never knew that.
You did, because we definitely talked about that in our Monster Squad episode, for sure. I'm certain of this.
Anyways.
But his name is Laszlo.
And he's like living in their closet.
It turns out, we find out later that he's like, the kid in the movie is like the third generation Smarty Pants super wonder kid. Val Kilmer is the one before that. This guy is one from like a decade and a half ago who just like couldn't hack it, and now
he found out what was happening.
What, the weapon?
This kind of thing was happening before. Found out it was being used for a weapon and like cracked, which like fair.
That makes sense. Yeah, if you weren't going in with the thought of like, oh, I'm going to make super weapons, that would be a problem for me. Yeah.
And this is also where we meet the Bob haircut overalls who talks a mile a minute.
Yes, you might remember her from One Magic Christmas.
I would.
Yeah, she's in One Magic Christmas. The character's name is Betty. I can't figure out who it is, but
was One Magic Christmas before this?
That I don't know.
Maybe she worked at like the.
I think 83.
Maybe she worked at the supermarket with the mom.
It could be. She was also in Family Ties for a couple of episodes and something else relatively well known. I'm trying to remember her name. I had just looked her up, but the character's name is
Bob Haircut.
No, she has a name. Jordan.
She's 19.
Yeah, this is a problem for me.
Do not make your boy genius go to college and then try and let him be with someone. Because no. Just no.
Yeah, I don't need to see the 15-year-old and the 19-year-old fall in love. No, thank you. Either she needs to be another wonder kid who's like 17, or he needs to be older.
Or
but just
call him 16 and say she's a freshman. Then it's not weird.
Yeah, agreed. Her name is Michelle Mayrink. She only acted in the 80s, and then she gave it up to be a Buddhist. But she's also in The Outsiders, and she's in Valley Girl. I think she's a pretty big part of Valley Girl.
Person who I think Martha Coolidge, who directed this, directed Valley Girl. I think.
Valley Girl is also Martha Coolidge. Yes.
The next morning, the kid wakes up and goes out. So it's a weird living situation. It's a dormitory. It's the college dorm, except there is a communal kitchen which seems weird to me. Like it's not billed as like apartment style living.
We had a kitchen in my dorm. It had like a microwave, it might have had a toaster oven, and it had a fridge.
We had one kitchen on the first floor that you could rent out.
Oh. No, it had one of those like twisty spouts that was like came out, the water was almost boiling, so you could do your cup noodles pretty much instantly.
Okay.
And we definitely had a microwave, and I think we had a toaster oven and a fridge. And we used to play beer pong in there without beer. Like we would just shoot it at water cups, and then mostly because it was amusing to us to get away with it.
Well, wait a minute. Whenever I played beer pong, it was never beer in the cups. It was always water.
What?
Yeah, because who wants to drink that beer?
That's part of it. You have to. It's yucky.
No, you just drink. You have a beer that like this is the beer you drink from.
This is some millennial bullshit.
Or like I don't want to drink out of the cup that has a floor ball from the theater house.
Okay, first of all, there's a water cup on the table to rinse off the ball after it touches the floor.
Rinsing?
So, yeah, you rinse the fuzz off of it. It's fine.
You might as well just be like, well, closing the cardboard flap on the cereal keeps the freshness in.
I mean, the ball's rinsed off. There's no schmutz on it.
No, it's gross.
Well, I think that's some millennial bullshit. I heard tell of this being a thing, and I was like, that seems stupid. And I can't believe it had started when you were in your college.
Yeah, when I was in college, it was never beer in those things.
That's insane to me.
Didn't want it.
What about Flip Cup?
We never played Flip Cup.
Okay.
But Flip Cup was different. You just lined up the cups and then drank and flipped it.
Right, but like we didn't all bring our own cup to that necessarily.
You just had a sleeve of solo cups.
I definitely have drank out of a cup that someone else flipped previously, for sure.
No, I don't think we ever played Flip Cup. We played Kings and beer pong and something else.
Not putting beer in the cups. Unreal.
No, gross.
Unreal.
So this Val Kilmer does something that you can't quite see, but you hear this very distinct sound, and I was like, why do I know that sound? And then I realized it's because it's an experiment I've done from like a little kid book where you put a spoon in the freezer and then you warm up a spoon and then place it against dry ice, and it has this like almost singing squeal to it.
Uh-huh.
He basically has a dowel rod of dry ice, and he's slicing off coins of it.
Yes. To put into the soda machine, and then it melts later. So it's like, what's that extremely stupid riddle where the guy gets killed with an icicle?
I think that's just the riddle.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like that. Like he steals the soda, and the evidence becomes water.
Except like that sliver of dry ice, it's got to be more than a quarter.
Not if you have access to it for free at the lab.
That's fair. And this is Chekhov's dry ice, we find out.
Is this where we get the big montage with like the book page turner and like Uncle Rico's in the closet?
Too many montages.
Which is not a thing we say often, but I agree that it is. I hear too many montages.
It's basically just like we're living in school. It's the montage from Monsters Inc. where they're all studying and like going to classes. And so I didn't notice it first, but this one classroom that the like boy wonder is in has boom boxes in it in chairs, and I was like, why the hell are there? Is this like absurdist? Do we go back into Heather's territory? And I was like, why? And then all of a sudden the whole room is filled with boom boxes, and then he walks into class one day and there's a tape recorder instead of a teacher.
Right, and it's like math is hard to learn off a tape. Pay close attention.
Yeah, I didn't quite get what I was supposed to take away from that.
I think it's just like a little college, like, lazy professor joke.
So, but like, is that something students would do? Like, I remember we would record lectures, but we were there for the lecture.
I think it's like the same kind of joke you get in a big box college movie where like the person goes to the room and they're like waiting for a professor, and instead they're in like the overflow room and it's just a video of the professor speaking.
Well, no, I meant why they were boom boxes in the first place, because the boom boxes were just recording his tape. By the end.
Oh, I guess I guess I missed that part of it. I guess the gag just being like nobody can be bothered to be here.
Say anything boombox, put it down, recorded it, and then walked out of the classroom.
Yeah, I guess that was the gag, though, of like, nobody can be bothered to show up for this. Everybody's doing it on tape,
weird.
even the professor. I didn't say it was a good joke. I was just explaining it.
And this is where we get the Casper roller coaster.
Yeah, he discovers where Laszlo's been hiding in the closet.
I wrote Chekhov's popcorn, and I don't remember what happened to cause me to think that, but I was right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember that at all. That would be a pretty interesting beginning of setup like that. I did not catch that.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. I wrote Chekhov's popcorn, which means something happened involving popcorn between now and the crooked scientist, like, being berated.
Yeah, I have no idea. I totally missed it. Anyway, we get the cool roller coaster thing, which is probably one of my favorite sequences of the movie. It like rolls down a track, and then it gets put in this elevator, and he discovers Laszlo's secret laboratory.
It's after this, yeah.
And then we cut to Atherton getting threatened because his laser's not ready yet, and he's like, I need more time. They're like, you have any more time, blah blah blah. So we've got like a ticking clock added to this movie of, oh, if it doesn't happen by this point, something bad will happen to you.
And I was like, why? I don't understand why he's only using students for this job. Like, if this is your thing that is your responsibility, do it yourself.
Right. Or, help at least, like, be part of it.
Agreed.
Instead, he just wants to take credit for everybody else's efforts.
Yes, yeah. This movie needed... He doesn't get enough comeuppance, I will say. So I think it needed more clarity of, like, everything for him. Of, like, he just wants to take credit. Like, I wanted the reveal that, like, all of his accomplishments have been students' work that he's taken credit for.
And I think that's what the deal is. Like, that's his whole deal, I think.
But it's not explicit. I want explicitly stated.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So Val Kilmer's like, fine, I'll help you with the laser, Boy Wonder. And I was like, is the laser going to explode? What's going to happen? No, it's just a big laser pointer.
Essentially, yes.
I don't understand science. I will go on record saying that. But this laser is so inconsistent, and also it's never clearly stated what they want to happen every time they turn it on, but it seems like the same thing happens every time they turn it on.
Right. It's like the science is supposed to be something like they're using this laser to perform some function, but they're always talking about getting more power to it and like fine tuning it, but none of them is able to put together like, a powerful laser, you say? I wonder what this might be used for.
Yeah, like I needed there to be a simple objective that they could be working towards. Like the goal for the project is to be able to blank. Like we want the laser to be able to do blank because it's not clear, and then it's just like the laser's just there.
Right. Right.
And it looks the same every time, just different colors.
Yeah, and I guess that's supposed to be what it is. Like, I know lasers in different parts of the color spectrum are a thing that do different things, although I don't have any knowledge to be able to be like, person understanding what's going on.
I think at one point barcode scanners were red, blue, green, like had those three lasers in it. I think. I don't know science.
No, nor do I.
Anyways, they go to a party and...
Well, wait. First... There's like a really stupid scene that I quite enjoyed. The kid is in the lab and Kilmer walks in with this container of stuff and he's like, hey, will you try this for me? So I'm not sure if it's quite right. And the kid takes a big bite and he's like, Val Kilmer's like, is it too sweet? The kid's like, no. He's like, what is it? He's like, I don't know. I found it in the lab. The kid starts like spitting it all out. He's like, no, it's just yogurt. And then the part that I really like,
it's like the quart of lo mein container. Like when you go to a Chinese restaurant and get a quart of lo mein, that's the container it comes in, is full of pink yogurt.
Yes. But then he's like, all right, you're overworked. We just need to take a step back. And he puts his arm around the kid's shoulders and they literally take a step back. And he's like, well, now forward and now back. And they do that a couple more times. He's like, and now we're doing the cha-cha. And the kid gets all pissed about it. But I thought it was a delightful little joke.
I like Val Kilmer. He's charming as hell in this.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. Sorry, but you were right. Then they go to that party.
And the party is in a theater, and this poor theater would be destroyed.
Oh, for sure. There's like makeshift pools with tarps and stuff.
So it's a theater, it's a traditional theater where like the stage is raised, and then in front of that would be the pit where the orchestra would be, and then the seats. but the orchestra pit has been filled with tarps and water, and there's a water slide. And I was like, this is just ruined. Everything in this room is ruined.
Absolutely. Val Kilmer has the great line here where like he's invited all these ladies who go to a beautician school, and the guys are kind of like hemming and hawing. He's like, this could be most of your only chance to have sex. And then suddenly they all run off to try and talk to girls. Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Kent, the bootlicker nerd, comes and spies on the party and then goes and tattles on them to William Atherton.
And this is where the bob haircut screams, "I'm not gay."
Yeah, apropos of nothing, basically. The kid is like, why aren't you partying? And she just blurts that out.
Yeah, and I was like, that seems weird. Are you okay? I mean, it's cool if you are. And this is where I was like, are we going to try and make this a romance thing? And you could tell the movie wanted to. You can really tell they wanted to. Oh, for sure.
For sure. I mean, it's a mainstream movie. What do you expect?
Yeah.
They can't make one of those without a love angle somewhere.
A straight love angle. So the kid gets yelled at by the professor who crashes the party.
Yeah.
And then like goes to the lab and like tries to do work, but has a like live action Cinderella moment where he breaks something and just like cries.
And then he calls home for help, and he learns that his parents have rented out his room, which doesn't seem to be great given that he doesn't live at school 12 months a year. Like even Harry Potter got to go home sometimes. So what are you doing? Yeah. So it's like, we've rented out your room, so I guess when you come home for Thanksgiving and or Christmas, whatever, you're just going to sleep on the couch? Yeah. Question mark.
And the jerk guy, Kent, the braces guy, records the conversation with his parents and then plays it over the loudspeaker at lunch. The lunch period that college has.
Have I told the band story on the podcast?
I don't know.
Okay, very quickly. Some friends were at the cafeteria at Maryland where I went, and they were sitting there, and these three dudes, it's like a circle table with 6 seats, and they're at 3 of them, and these 3 dudes come, and they're like, hey, can we have these seats? And they're like, yeah, I guess, no problem. So they sit down, and they continue their conversation, and then one of the dudes pulls out a guitar, and they're like, oh my god, are you serious? Like, these dudes are going to play instruments, and then the other dude has a bass, and the other dude's like drumming on something, or he's got another instrument. I don't remember that detail, I'm sorry. And they're like, god, man, like, we're trying to have lunch, these people. So they start playing music, and like a crowd gathers, and after like, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds of the song. It was Third Eye Blind. No, it was actually Hanson.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're like, I think I know this song, and it was Mbop, and it turned out that Hanson was on campus for like a documentary that they were in and promoting, and they had just like had time to kill, and we're like, let's just go to the lunchroom and play some songs, or the cafeteria.
That's basically what happened with me and Jason Segel at Pride.
Yeah, but these dudes were like coveting the attention and just playing Mbop.
Yeah, they were.
The other thing that I think is interesting in this scene is like there's like a little bit of tittering of people being like, ha ha ha, you're like homesick. But then the only person who seems to be really genuinely enjoying this is Kent. Like, it doesn't seem bad enough that it's going to like follow this kid around or whatever. You know what I mean?
Carrie at the prom moment where like really the only people laughing are the 2 a-holes.
Right. Like, I feel like half the room is like, oh, that's awkward. And the other half's like, yeah, we've all been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone has. And then Val Kilmer gives this beautiful speech about like staying strong and knowing what you're worth. And it's just, I was like, where is this Kilmer? The rest of them, like, can this Kilmer talk to women? Can this be the Kilmer that talks to women? Yeah, no, you're right. Because please.
You're totally right. Yeah.
And he's like, well, let's get him back. And they get him back by putting his car in his room.
It's a classic television and movie gag that I'm pretty sure is impossible, but I always enjoy it.
I've seen it done with trampolines, which is possible. Not with a car.
You mean in real life?
No, on more often in like maybe in real life somewhere, but mostly on TV where they like take apart the trampoline, go inside the school in pieces, and put it back together.
Yeah, that doesn't seem challenging to me. Like, I could definitely do that, but trampoline's not that complicated. I think it's much cooler when they do it with a car.
It's not possible.
I mean, it is technically possible. It's just ridiculous.
It would take more than like a couple hours.
I think it depends on how many people you are and how old the car is.
Anyway,
because there's really wild videos of the original Army Jeeps that a squad of either 4 or 6 dudes can completely take apart to like completely apart, nuts and bolts laying on the ground, and put back together in under 10 minutes.
Okay, that's kind of cool. So Dr. Hathaway is like, Val Kilmer, you're too sexy and not focused on this, so you're not going to graduate, and I'm going to fail you. And Val Kilmer makes a very salient point that's like, well, I will just go to the dean with all of my papers and all of my work and all of my theories, and that will get me a degree. Which I was like, yeah, if Val Kilmer has all this work, like validated, and just goes to the dean with it, how can anything go wrong?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't understand how William Atherton thinks he has this much power, but he certainly thinks that's what he has.
But somehow, even though he got fired, Val Kilmer is still in the lab. And we get another montage.
Yeah, this is like the one where Val Kilmer's friends have convinced him not to leave school. And so they're just like, all right, it's time to study. And he's like going to class with his shirt all the way buttoned up and whatnot.
Still slippers?
Yes, of course.
And they do something with the laser that the movie tells me is successful and impressive, but I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish, so...
Right. Yeah, the goal of what the laser is supposed to do is never defined enough for me. I'm sure they say it. Like, I'm sure someone out there is listening of like, you idiots, it's this thing. But
Tom,
I missed it. Yeah, yes. Tom specifically is probably very upset. I also like that this montage ends with a kid having a total meltdown in the library during the finals week studying.
And someone else just takes his spot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I never experienced that, but I'm sure it happened on the campus I went to, given the size of it.
Yeah, I never experienced that either.
I was not really a library studier.
No, I tried it like twice, and I was always like, no.
Although I suppose I could just say I was not really much of a studier.
That too.
That's probably also accurate.
That too. So this is where Laszlo shows up with, it's a beer box, but I thought he said something about Fritos, where he's like, I calculated... I know it's based on a real thing, but he's like, I calculated if I submit, 1,700,000, Fritos UPC codes that I am 1/5 of the winners, therefore I have to, the applicants, therefore I have to win something.
Well, he specifically calculates that he's going to win 32.8% of the prizes by sending in this many forms, and because there's no purchase necessary, he can just fill them all out and send them in.
Yeah, and also he has all the test questions.
That he's just memorized in his head, which is delightfully insane.
Yeah, I think we need a little more Laszlo explanation. Like, that's the prequel
I just needed a little more Laszlo. I like this character, and I think he's fun.
I agree.
Cut to this grown-ass woman trying to seduce a 15-year-old boy, which makes me really uncomfortable.
I waited 3 years for you to be old enough for this, and then kisses him.
Yeah, I was like, no, you are 3 years away from this being okay.
Well, she said that, and I went, did I miss a time jump?
Oh, like he's 18 now?
Did I miss that, like, we cut to 3 years later?
Maybe that's what the laser is. It's an age. It makes you old enough to be legal. It's a legal gun. It's the sleaziest thing ever invented.
So this woman's name is Susan, and she serves no purpose in this movie other than to be sex objects for men.
Yeah, I don't quite understand.
I don't know what her purpose was in this movie, because it's never clearly defined. Like, Val Kilmer hits on her. She tries to hit on the 15-year-old, and then later she's boning Dr. Hathaway.
I got the impression, but what her line is with Hathaway, that she was like Hathaway's beloved, and then he disappeared. But I'm not 100% certain on that. Also, the kid rejects her, which we find out because the kid like runs into Jordan's room and is like, a woman just tried to kiss me. And she's like, well, I don't really want to know about this. And he's like, no, I rejected her for you. And all I could think of was that scene in Forgetting Sarah Marshall where... I
only know the scene. I only remember the scene where he wags his dick at the camera.
Oh, that is very funny. But there's another scene where, spoilers for Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Kristen Bell like tries to seduce him, and she like starts going down on Jason Segel's character, and he's like, I don't want this, like this is wrong, we should stop. And then later he tells Mila Kunis what happened, and he's like, she performed oral sex with me for 5 to 10 seconds, and Mila Kunis is understandably upset. And then she's talking about it to the bartender guy, the real big dude who names all the fish. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember that character. And he's like, my dude turned down a blowjob mid-blowjob. There's saints that didn't do that. That's all I could think
Another
of.
Jason Segel reference?
Look, he's on my mind right now. What do you want from me?
So I was at Philly Pride with my boyfriend, and someone walked past him, and I went, that dude's a dead ringer for Jason Segel. And my boyfriend turns around and was like, oh my god, you're right. And then the next day texted me and was like, hey, plot twist, that was Jason Segel. He's in Philly filming a movie.
I wish you had texted me because I actually knew that and I would have told you immediately.
And I would have gone for a picture, but I was drunk because it's Pride.
Yes. Also, it would have been the funniest thing to have a picture of you in your Pride outfit with Jason Segel.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, he might have done a hover hand on you.
Oh, I doubt it. He seemed drunk. I'm pretty sure he was also drunk. He had drunk face.
Allegedly.
That man definitely drinks.
I'm just saying allegedly. Let's not try to, sabotage potential guests on the podcast.
So this is where there's like a test. There's going to be... They're going into the test, and they're all... So Kent...
Like a final exam.
So Kent,
not a
who
laser
is
test.
on the team that is working on this laser, sabotages the laser. Why? Why not just take credit?
Wait. Val Kilmer blew up his test exam first, which is really good.
What?
Val Kilmer... okay, he sabotages it, and then we go to the test, but we don't see the result of the sabotage until after. Okay, I'm sorry, we mistimed that.
And I just, I don't understand why you wouldn't just try and finish, be like, hey, I would have just run in the room and be like, Professor, I fixed the machine before the test, you should come do it. I don't understand why you would sabotage the thing that you're all working on together.
Because I think he will use that as a way of getting rid of Val Kilmer, who is clearly better than him.
Yes. I would rather just take credit than destroy something. Because then he has to do the work, and he clearly can't do the work.
Yeah, no, he cannot do the work. He is clearly an idiot.
So then we have a test montage.
Yeah, it's like a study montage, and then, we're trying to learn some stuff real quick.
Val Kilmer realizes his laser's been sabotaged and realizes liquid nitrogen is the answer, and I don't know why.
Yeah, something about the colds. Making the laser perform better. But also, I love the part where he hands his teacher the test, and it's like, I aced this, and the teacher just throws it in the garbage can, and then it explodes.
No, it's the apple explodes.
Oh, okay.
Val Kilmer puts an apple on his desk and is like, see ya, teach, and kick flips out of the room like Zach Morris.
He kick flips out of the room.
And then
he does a sick grind.
Yeah, on the desk. And then the teacher throws the apple.
And then he turns into a silver blob and flies away. He's like, drink a Capri Sun.
So he's like, hey, liquid nitrogen is the answer. Everyone get behind the shield. I'll demonstrate. And approximately 2 of the 5 people fit behind the shield.
Also, I love a casual glasses. And it happens a lot in nuclear tests in movies and stuff like that. Yeah. So the professor, everyone puts their goggles on, straps them on, except the professor dude who's like, I'm just going to hold them on my face. If there's a thing happening where my eyesight might be permanently damaged, there's zero part of me that's like, I gotta look cool while this happens.
I know, right?
What is your malfunction that you're like, I'm just gonna hold these up? You see it all the time with welding. It's probably that motorcycle show or something like that. One of those built-in motorcycle shows was popular for a hot minute, or the crab shows. But you'd always see people welding by just holding a faceplate up and welding. And I took a little bit of shop class, and whenever I was welding, I had that helmet down and secured. I'm not messing around with this. And people who do it professionally are always just I'm just going to casually hold up these safety goggles. Zap, 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 zap.
I mean, I guess when you're a professional in the field, you have a different perspective, but still.
Yeah, I can't get behind the casual safety, but the professor just sighs and just I guess I'll hold these up to my eyes for useless reasons.
And then this time the laser blows up. It's what they wanted to happen.
Well, it blows a hole in the wall.
Yeah, but that's happened before. Whatever.
It's a huge softball-sized hole in the wall, and it apparently went all the way across campus, so it's incredibly ranged and powerful. And so they're like, Val Kilmer, you're reinstated. And they're like, great, we're going to a biker bar for some reason.
I'm going to Chili's.
Is the Chili's nearest to you a biker bar?
There's a table at an Applebee's reserved for 5. So they're celebrating, and then Laszlo comes in, and he's like, hey, did any of you stop and wonder why they wanted a laser this powerful and precise? because it's a weapon, ding-dongs. And this is where they're like, oh, you're right. How? How is this where the room full of geniuses just realized?
Yeah, it's like, even if you didn't have the scenes where they were talking to the police or, sorry, the government, I would know this was a weapon. It's crazy to me that they don't.
Yeah. So Wikipedia told me that the jerk guy knew this was a weapon. I don't know that the movie told me that.
Well, they when they do the thing here
Where they gas
so they
him?
so they gas Kent, knock him unconscious, and then they put a radio receiver in his braces so that they can like put a voice in his head, which I'm pretty sure would make most people go crazy. But
also, you would feel it instantly. As someone who had
Yes.
braces and still has a permanent lower retainer,
yeah,
you feel like there's a very distinct feeling from like braces that are clean and braces that have shit stuck in them in the back.
yeah, and this is not just like a couple grains of sand or a popcorn kernel. It's like a bullet.
Yeah. So he should feel this.
But when they talk to him here, they're like, Kent, we know you made a weapon.
Also, don't diddle yourself.
Yeah, I thought that part was pretty funny.
And we get another montage once he tells them where the military base is.
I also like that they specifically are like, he's like, who is this? And they're like, Jesus.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, it's like a very like normally you pick the voice of God. No, okay.
But again, we're not science guys. We're not religion guys. Maybe Jesus is the one to pick.
Yeah, no, it could be. It could be.
So we get another montage.
Yeah, of like, all right, we have to break into this military base, reconfigure this laser to shoot elsewhere, and then have it shoot and blow up the professor's house. That's the best solution to
With
this
a
problem.
terrible mustache and fake IDs.
Yeah. The fake. It's also really funny to me when you see stuff like this, where it's like, this is a passable fake ID in the year 1985. It's like, oh,
Right.
It's so cute. It's so cute.
It looks like something you would get in like a Happy Meal, where it'd be like, paste your
Yes.
picture here.
And you'll be the McDonald'ler.
Hamburglar.
Well, I was gonna say Hamburglar, but I don't think the kid wants to be the Hamburglar. What's the police name? Chief Mayor McCheese?
Mayor
What's the
McCheese.
chief? Yes, but what's the
I don't
policeman?
remember the policeman.
There's a burger policeman.
I know, but I don't remember his name. It'd be more like a
Okay.
Jurassic Park toy, where like you can be,
Oh,
security clearance in Jurassic Park. Also, do you know what this military base could have used some?
what's that?
Military bullets.
Oh God, no. They had military lasers, which are way worse.
They are. So they sneak in because of course it works, and the call to stop them comes 2 seconds too late. They have briefcases, like those silver briefcases you always see in movies, and I was like, I don't know what they're planning on doing with these silver briefcases to this laser, but okay. And then Val,
It's very much an 80s movie when those silver briefcases get broken out. Up to like 1993.
yeah, and then
Also, the police is the policeman is Officer Big Mac.
Officer Big Mac, Mayor McCheese.
There was also apparently a pirate who was like the Hamburglar equivalent for the Filet-O-Fish named Captain Crook.
They never showed up in the late 90s, early aughts direct-to-video tapes that you could buy.
Captain Crook lasted from 71 to 85.
They were not featured in the Ronald McDonald Land Adventures by Klasky Chupo. Val Kilmer says the line, "We have to keep the computer busy so it won't know we're here." And I was like, that's just gobbledygook.
Yes, it's like they stick something in it and then lights start going in rapid sequence, and he's like, "All right, the computer's busy." It's like, what are you saying?
It's like frame.
Is it like a cat with a laser pointer? What are you saying?
And this is where I noticed that the 15-year-old with when he has the fake mustache on, looks like a young Mandy Patinkin.
Oh yeah, he does have a little Mandy Patinkin vibe.
That
Yeah,
kind of long face. Yeah. The Dr. Hathaway and the military people are in some trailer next to the laser. And they're like, well, let's all go take a look at the laser to make sure it's ready. And I was like, and they all go over to look at it. And I was like, if my mechanic was like, hey, there's something wrong with under your hood, I don't need to look at it because I'm not going to know.
I've had this happen before where they're like, "Let me show it to you," and I was like, "You could literally tell me anything. Like, I don't know anything."
Yeah, like, it's fine. I believe you. So they all go to look at the laser, and reprogram it.
Yeah, they're doing like a rapid like hack sequence where they like connect to their friends Laszlo and the other group away, and that group is like putting in new coordinates and fiddling with a chip.
And then they tell Kent that he has to go to the professor's house and wait outside for a message from God.
And they've gone to the house and set it up, but we don't know specifically what they did other than put a laser outside, but they've done something into the house.
And so they fire this laser in, and somehow this incredibly powerful laser is refracted by simple mirrors.
Yeah, it makes very little sense.
Into a giant Jiffy Pop.
That part is kind of awesome.
Well, I wanted it to blow his house the F up. Like, I wanted the end of Critters.
Yes, I agree. I was disappointed. Like, the house gets destroyed, but I wanted it in popcorn and splinters.
Yeah. So
Meanwhile, they're like, the reason this happens because they're testing the laser on an assassination, and it's eerily basically the Kennedy assassination, which feels like a weird way to test this to me.
What do you mean?
It's like a bunch of covered limousine cars and then an open one with crash test dummies in it.
I didn't even
but it's
notice
like
that was what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, they're like supposed to be killing the guy who's like going down the street in the back of the convertible, and I was like, this is just the Kennedy assassination? Like, you're literally recreating a very dark moment in American history right now.
Yeah, uncomfortable. So they reroute the laser, it blows up the popcorn, his house explodes like in Disney. Oh, it's a directed video Disney Christmas movie where all this popcorn blows up in the house, where Max goes home and is embarrassed of his dad, Goofy. I want to say it's Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas or Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas. It's one of the two.
Okay.
Literally the same thing happens.
They definitely stole it from this movie.
Yeah. And then at the end, Laszlo shows up in a camper hauling all his stuff, and they all... So, you know in old TV shows when like a special guest star would show up and everyone in the show would be like... NBA star Detlef Schrempf or whatever.
Yes.
That's how they all react when like his girlfriend, Laszlo's girlfriend, comes out of the camper and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Sherry Mitchell!" And I was like, "Who the hell is that?"
Yeah, I didn't get that part either.
I don't think she was a famous person.
No, she was the one who tried to seduce the boy.
No, because that was Susan.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the woman who tried to seduce the boy.
No, that was Suzanne. Soissons.
Okay.
And then they all like roll credits as kids play in the popcorn, and then it ends with the Dr. Hathaway just driving home and looking at his house and being like, "Harumph." Like, no. I need more to happen to this guy.
Yeah, I needed him at least like throwing a hat down and jumping up on top of it.
Or like, disappearing like they did to that other guy, or like some kind of thing where he's like has to teach high school chemistry. Like,
right.
I need like, we're stripping you of your PhD.
Yeah, I would like it if he had to like teach a remedial class or something. That would have been good punishment. But at the very least, I need him like crying.
I want him to be forced to teach like volcano projects. Like third grade baking soda vinegar doesn't teach you anything volcanoes.
Right. Or like GED classes with people who don't want to be there.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I would be into that. So yeah, that's the end of Real Genius. What are your final thoughts?
It's not bad, but it's not my favorite thing we've watched.
Oh, I don't know if I put it in my favorite, but I really like this. This is like one of those ones that I think I would remember really fondly if I had seen it before, and I'm surprised that I had never seen it before. Mm-hmm. Super duper fun, very Ferris Bueller energy, like I said. Really just like a good time movie, which I was, pleasantly surprised by, because like I said, I was expecting it to be a magical science movie. And so when it wasn't that I still liked it, I think is a testament to how enjoyable it is. But yeah, this is a hearty recommend for me. It's free on Crackle, but has ads. Yeah, I think this is a good way to spend 100 minutes of your time. It moves pretty quick. It's got a lot of fun scenes. It's mostly pretty good as far as our times go. Andrew and I pointed out a couple times where it's a little bit like, oh, that's kind of a crappy line. But mostly it's pretty respectful.
It's an hour 46. It could be an hour 30, 35.
Yeah, I mean, it could lose 10 minutes, no problem. But I really dug this. It was a nice surprise. I'm glad that both Michelle and Tom took care of us with their selections, because we haven't watched it yet, but I'm pretty sure this Garbage Pail Kids movie is going to be a tough sit.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, we will, as
we'll
listener
just swap
request
out
month
for Grease too.
I'm sure that would be something that would be really delightful for the person who didn't pick it. Thank you all so very much for listening to the show. A couple things real quick. Don't forget to check out the Patreon. It's patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. That's how this episode came to be. So if you'd like to do the same, check it out there, and you can see how to do that. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We're on Facebook and on Twitter. It's at Dissect the 80s on Twitter, and you can just search Dissecting the 80s on Facebook. Really appreciative of any reviews we get from y'all. So if you have the time to do that, we'd really appreciate it. Just review us wherever you get your podcasts. And if it's not iTunes, go ahead and send us a screenshot. We read those on the air. And thank you all so much for listening to the show. We really appreciate that and hope that you will tell your friends about it if you like it, because that's the best way to learn about new podcasts. So we will be back in 2 weeks to conclude Listener Request Month with the Garbage Pail Kids. I have been Trip Lano.
I will always be Andrew Lano.
And until July 29th,
don't you forget about me.